Welcome back. We're glad to see that you've made it this far into the story. As from this chapter onwards, the main rebellion team is formed. In previous chapter, Max met some of his old friends at a video call meetup. It's where they discussed their opinions and concerns regarding the pill and its users. Luckily, the entire team seemed to be on the same page, as they were quite aware of the upcoming chaos. To help each other out, they start sharing their gathered intel, in order to help Max and Ace join the pieces together. According to Mike's intel, a few shipments were being transferred from Hamilton's lab to some unknown locations, about 8 months ago. As per his intel, one of these shipment trailers had headed towards the southern desert. As soon as they heard the desert being mentioned, both Ace and Max figured out where it was probably heading towards. Turns out, there was a hidden military facility in the desert, where they worked on biochemical weapons and advanced warfare. They knew someone that worked within a private military organization that looked over the southern military facility. Meet Captain Benjamin Mackenzie. He happens to be an old friend as well as a competitive rival of Max. They had worked together on several missions during their service in Marine Corps. A few years later, due to certain events, they ended up getting on each other's nerves and then parted separate ways. To avoid any spoilers, as these events will eventually be discussed in the future, we'll skip to the latter. Though not on good terms, Mackenzie still owed multiple favors to Max, which he decided to redeem in this event. After a not-so-friendly conversation, he decided to share everything he knew about the incident at Hamilton with Max. Another discovery made during the Friday night reunion was from Susan. Turns out, she knew someone who had worked within the Hamilton's lab for a couple of years. Meet Jane Swanson. Born and raised in Greenville, she's one of the smartest and probably the hottest fitness freak in her town. She went to Greenwood International High School just as Susan, and has been her BFF ever since. Apparently, she has worked at Hamilton Biolab for almost 4 years as a microbiologist. While hesitating for a while, Susan had agreed to give her a call the next day and convince her for a virtual meetup. As she was aware that any intel available at this point will turn out to be valuable for the team. Chapter 6 continues from next day onwards, as Ace delivers a good news, first thing in the morning. Well, technically, it's afternoon. As Max is still sipping his coffee, he gets a phone call from Ace. Turns out, Jane is available for a video call meetup the same night. And it seems that everyone else is available for a meetup at around 11 p.m. Being aware how important this conversation would be, Max had already kept his schedule free for the next 3 days ahead. And, as Ace is more than capable of handling the meetup, he decides to focus on getting intel from Mackenzie instead. A few hours later, the meeting begins. As soon as Jane logs in, it's a jaw-dropping moment for all the boys. They spend about half an hour with introductions and compliments, as they find out some quite interesting things about her. After a while, they all settle down and get straight down to business. As Jane fully trusts Susan, she isn't hesitant to share the Hamilton incident with the team. She then explains all the events that happened about a year ago, in a sequence. As Max is already aware of them, from the intel shared by Mackenzie, he listens carefully and tries to double-check the information. She explains in details how they found the herb, who were involved and responsible for the experiments held, and the consequences that followed by. Everyone is in shock and at loss of words, as they definitely weren't expecting the truth to be so much messed up. She explains how the current symptoms observed within the users are only a beginning stage of mutation. As during the experiments, 2 more stages were observed that only turned out to be even worse. Max then confirms his intel about further mutation stages, as received from Mackenzie. The entire team is now aware of how difficult the days ahead were going to be. They realize that they need to find a way to stop this before it's too late. As what they've seen so far is only the beginning of something much worse. We believe that we shouldn't spoil the story any further, as their entire conversation ahead is a blend of comedy, suspense and strategic planning. If you've enjoyed the previous chapters so far, we're quite confident that you'd find this one to be even more interesting. We hope that you enjoy reading this chapter. And we get to see you again in Chapter 7. Thanks for watching.